The Parks Department, and Tommy, if you could introduce yourself and your colleagues, and then make whatever opening statement you'd like to make about the budget.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm Tommy Lynch. On my right is our chairman of our park board, George Anderson. On my left is Monique Odom, our finance administrator. I want to recognize in the audience we have Stan Fossick from the park board, as well as Tim Nate, our park planner, Shane Dennison, who's in charge of open space and the greenways, and Jim Hester, who's here representing our active environmental lifestyle that we're promoting.
Couldn't have a better representative.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, good morning, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Hydo, and Mr. Reeving. I do appreciate meeting with you to discuss the Parks Department and next year's budget. It's an exciting time, particularly as we celebrate the development of the metropolitan form of government 50 years ago. As I look at our submittal to the Finance Department highlighting accomplishments, goals, and strategic issues, it can be difficult to assess where to start. However, this year I think it's relatively easy. The acquisition of the 600 acres on the Stones River is one of the major pieces of the open space plan. And acquiring this piece of property from the government standpoint and with our partners, the Conservation Fund, this piece will become a legacy and a major future connection to other park lands such as Taylor Farm, Peeler Park, a potential Warner Park in Hermitage. As you so eloquently put it, no one is creating more land in Davidson County. And although we're continuing to search for property to acquire as part of the open space plan, particularly in the southeast Davidson County, this acquisition is an immediate improvement and a long-term improvement for the city. Southeast Davidson County, where we're looking for more property. And speaking of that part of the county, we're preparing for this year to staff the first regional community center in that area with the upcoming budget at Hickory Hollow. In the past year, though, we also saw the opening of the Cumberland Park on the east bank of the river. In the same area of town, we dedicated the first phase of the Shelby Park Master Plan while celebrating the 100-year anniversary of the park. This year was particularly historical in other areas as well. We're celebrating the 100-year anniversary of Hadley Park. As I'd mentioned, the 50 years of metropolitan government being acknowledged this year, what a better time to detail what we're doing throughout the county. Land purchased in Hermitage, community centers opening in Southeast, and then as well coming up at Sevier Park, greenways constructed in Bellevue, Whites Creek, Lenox Village, West Nashville, and Richland Creek. Community spaces being developed in Joelton at Paradise Ridge. On the East Bank and East Nashville, as previously mentioned, the development of the first phase of Shelby Park Master Plan as well as Cumberland River. A new fitness center coming in Midtown at the Sportsplex. We will begin the first phase of the Centennial Park Master Plan this year. Developing the connection to Birch Reserve at Warner Park. Mountain bike trails opening at Cane Ridge and coming at Warner and Bells Bend. We are truly pulling our weight as we address the weight of the community with greenways, fitness centers, trails opening, and developing canoe, kayaking, hiking, and camping activities. You can be assured that our department is in step with your goals for Nashville to become more active and to be in tune with the environment. In moving forward, though, we're being challenged to restructure in order to provide these services in a professional and efficient manner. 29 employees took advantage of the early retirement incentive. 1,002 years of service to the community. This came, our two main environmental and nature center managers left, 2 of our 3 employees in the dance program. Our most senior community center managers, major supervisors in maintenance, golf, almost every section of the department. I assure you, though, we have competent, dedicated, and experienced people waiting in the wings and waiting for their time to shine. In summation, as I highlight our accomplishments and our expansion of services, I do need your help. I need more people and equipment to make sure that everyone can utilize these spaces as intended and do so safely. We will be diligent in enacting efficiency measures, but I must stress that working harder and more efficiently is not the only answer. We must maintain this system and apply the necessary manpower and resources to do so. Personnel and equipment, quality programs for our at-risk youth. This will help us take care of our assets and fulfill our mission. And as I speak, there are, I think, 2 or 3 different groups I have to highlight. I've mentioned the employees that left, but I can't be here without talking to you about the employees that we have. One thing that's great about being in the Parks Department is we have people who just want to be in the specific area they're working in. The people that work at the nature centers are truly environmentalists, and that is their passion. Our people that work in the community centers want to be mentors to the youth and show a good example of what they can become. Our golf managers are as good and quality golf professionals as there are across the state. We've had employees that have received the American Nature Center Association Environmentalist of the Year Award in Sandy Bivens. Sally Davis, our golf manager, received the Administrator of the Year Award provided by the Tennessee Golf Foundation for her work with the Vinnie Links in providing at-risk youth golf opportunities. We have other people ready to step forward, and the people that we work with at the Parks Department are truly professional. But at the same time, we can't provide these services without the help of our partners. The Friends of Shelby Park, the Friends of Warner Park, the Conservancy for Centennial Park, the Conservation Fund that helped us acquire the property at Stones River, the Trust for Public Land. All of the partners that we work with on a daily basis help facilitate what we're providing and help add to the government you so well run. So with that, I'm ready for any questions you may want to ask.
Okay.
I do apologize, I was a little late. I had to get a tie from the family tree. We're not known to have ties, and I want to dress appropriately.
Well, thanks. I mean, obviously there's been, I don't know, we've added, I guess, 1,500 acres of park and open space land since I've been mayor, and there's additional needs for maintaining it, providing services related to that land. So most of your needs, I think, are toward staff.
Yes.
And if you could just describe what those needs would be.
Well, we put a proposal in. I think we're asking for 12 additional staff members in the maintenance area, as well as some equipment. So our budget request sort of coincides with what general services, because getting the people is great, but we also need the equipment to take care of it. And as you noted, you know, between the acquisition of property through land that we've purchased, Cornelia Fort, the Stones River Farm, the park in South Nashville on Smith Springs Road. We've also acquired land through the flood bow property that Water Services has acquired. So that's where, you know, the parks, in some regards, people go, well, it's aesthetics, but that's what parks are. But at the same time, for people to play ball, for people to go out and throw frisbee, they need to be able to get onto property that's not 6 inches high with grass, that's been maintained, that's been cultured and taken care of. And what we want to do is provide the level of services that I'm used to seeing in our parks, and we're getting there, but we also need your help because of this addition.
What's the mowing cycle now, Tom?
There are some places, it depends. We do have some places like Centennial Park where we'll get mowed every 7 days. But some of our outlying parks that may not be near our maintenance area, we've gone from a standard in the 90s that might have been every 14 to 18 days, that we're up to 28 days at some of these places. And I have to say, because Mike Bays, our maintenance supervisor, is probably one of our best employees and most knowledgeable administrators, and he puts it pretty well. It's not that we got bad at our job, it's just that our job all of a sudden got bigger than something that we could handle.
And then there are some projects that are moving forward now. I mean, a lot of things that have been accomplished, but we got projects that are going forward that are real exciting. Can you talk a little bit about some of those? And let me just start with the project at Hickory Hollow. What's involved there, and what's the projected opening there?
The Southeast Community Center, we've been working with the planning group right now. It looks like it'll be sometime in the spring of next year that it would be ready to be open. We're in fact, we're going to be sharing space next to the library, and then that's the planning on that is moving forward. And, it's really exciting because that's a part in the Parks and Greenways Master Plan. We've been since 2000 talking about trying to get a regional center in that area, and having this opportunity to bring this regional center with the green space and working with the library, as well as the Predators putting a ice rink in next to it. So it will become a major governmental entity and recreation entity in an area that had almost been devoid of recreational opportunities.
Okay. And then another one that is exciting is Sevier Park.
Sevier. It's a regional center that's going to be in the same vein as the McCabe Center that opened this past year.
Which is fantastic.
It is fantastic. The McCabe Center was featured in the last publication of Recreation Business and was highlighted in that publication. The people in Sevier are going to find out that in 12 South that from the physical activities and the meeting rooms and things like this, the opportunities for that community are going to be enhanced.
Good, good. And what's the opening for that?
That is in October. Is that what we're talking about, Tim?
Yes.
Sometime in October of this year.
Of 2013?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. And then your chairman is interested in this one, the Centennial Park project. Could you tell us where we are on that and what's involved there?
Well, we just awarded the bid. It might be Tim, if you want to address that. We're working with Water Services. We've got the design team in effect and landed and getting ready to put them on contract. The water quality aspect of the park is really what's kind of exciting from my standpoint, because having been working in Centennial Park over the years, to walk around the lake, and sometimes in the middle of this summer when we get the heat and some of the water quality of that lake is going to be improved, and it's going to enhance the enjoyment of the park as people go through it. We're also going to be daylighting Cockrell Spring, which will be in the front portion of the park, which is something that is also relatively exciting, to get the spring brook flowing through the front part of the park. So in the aspects from the standpoint of enhancing the water quality and in giving people more space to usable space in Centennial, that's where it's going to be the improvement.
Okay, and when would actual work begin? Do you have a sense of that?
I might have to defer to Tim on that.
Right now, we're negotiating the final terms on the contract, so that should be available for you to sign within the next week or so. We're working with the Conservancy then to make a public announcement and really kick off the design process. That design process will be approximately 10 months. And from there, we'll go to bid, so we would probably be breaking ground in early 2014, maybe in February.
Okay. And then we also have the work at Shelby Park, which is, as you mentioned, it's going forward, and you have new great public art there, and you can tell us where we are there.
We have public art there. We opened the first phase with the event center, the event field this past year. We're building the second baseball field right now, and it should be open sometime by the end of spring. And then we're requesting in next year's budget the next phase of the Shelby Park Master Plan.
Okay, good. And we had a great celebration, Hadley Park 100th anniversary, which was wonderful. And then, of course, work on the riverfront will continue.
Yeah, we're planning, looking on the west side at this point. We're finishing the shoring up of the bank, the east bank, and we're getting ready to open. In fact, on an ongoing basis, Cumberland Park is open on a daily basis, but the water park features will be opening again this spring.
I was invited to be on a panel in Atlanta on health issues and infrastructure for health. And one of the I didn't, somebody else brought the material and passed it out, but there was a sort of national recognition of the quality of that park. And the design elements of that park that people just loved.
From the architectural standpoint, they received an award, and we also, our department received an award on a statewide basis from the Tennessee Recreation Association. It represents the city. It sort of embraces the river life that, and I think you mentioned this several times, that prior to the flood in 2010 and since then, the embracing of the river life and how impactful it's been on Nashville needs to continue, and that process needs to be expanded so that everyone in Nashville realizes how important the Cumberland River is to us.
And then we have everybody's favorite. We spent a lot of time there together in the last couple of years on the greenways. What's going on with greenways?
Well, as I mentioned, we're constructing right now in Bellevue. We should have that ready to be open sometime in late spring. We're talking with the Water Services on a connection, further connection along Richland Creek that'll end up going from England Park possibly to West Park. So we're working on Richland Creek. We're working on Mill Creek out at Lenox Village. And we're building it right now, so that's another piece of the puzzle that should be open this year. And Whites Creek, and we're also talking with the people at Fontanelle about getting something going out there. So it's, as you know, it's been a puzzle coming together, but we're getting miles on the ground. In the last year or so, we appear to be getting more miles on the ground than we have been in the past. So we're really expanding the greenways.
How many miles have we done in the last 5 years of greenways? Do you know?
Oh, Shane.
Shane, do you
In
know?
the last 5 years, I've had, in the last year, 7 miles since 2011.
And we were pretty much averaging about 3 miles a year before.
What's our
that.
total mileage?
52 and a half.
Okay.
And with about 10 miles that are coming to fruition, we hope this summer, we're bearing down on adding 25 miles in the
That's
last.
great.
I mean, there's several things that when I go to the grocery store and run into people that they talk about, that they love about Nashville, or you run into people anywhere in the city, greenways is always in the top 3, that people just want more and think they're the best thing going in the city.
I have to go back to the days and months after the flood, and this was one thing that really, I guess it surprised me, that after people got through taking care of their homes and their businesses, I can't tell you how many people called us wanting to help us repair, clean off the greenways so that people could get back to their normal activities.
It's a part of their daily life.
It was part of their daily life. And I've said this to Shane a couple times as a long-term employee of the department. When the Greenway Initiative first came in, some of the park employees were kind of taken aback that, well, we got a good system, but the Greenway system is amazing, and it's a great addition. And I think if you find out that in talking to some of the landscape architects, Nashville has been a leader in developing greenways across the country.
Good. And let me publicly thank you for the parks have been great and key partner in all the work that we've been trying to do with making Nashville a healthier place. I don't know how many miles you and I have walked together, but we've.
I do know this. I've lost about 15 pounds. It's been working.
But it's you guys have been wonderful in helping organize the walks and events that we do. Obviously, I think it's what you do, and what I talk about a lot is, you need to build the infrastructure that allows people to live healthy lives, to have places where they can get recreation, where they can walk, where they can enjoy the great outdoors that we have in Middle Tennessee. And the Parks Department does a wonderful job with that. You do a wonderful job with the things that happen in the community centers. I mean, obviously, we spend some time in the community centers running in circles and walking in circles there. But the community centers have fantastic resource. And then everything you do to help us promote active living, I'm just real thankful for that.
I got an email this week inviting me to go paddle down a river or something with you. You're moving to boats.
Did somebody suggest that you and I paddled on a river?
No. Perhaps.
Up a river.
Just keep going down No, we do have a river event coming up, Jim, and that's in
April 20th, Earth Day.
April 20th, Earth Day, and that's near Stones River, right?
Stones River.
And that's sort of related to the land acquisition we did, which should be a wonderful event.
I didn't get that invitation.
Did you send it?
Just thought I'd point that out. I didn't get that.
Well, Mr. Riebling is an avid user of our dog parks. Now, he sometimes has mistaken the driving range at
For the dog
McCabe
park?
for a dog park.
It's dark.
It's dark. It's a contained area. But I do, Mr. Mayor, I hope my enthusiasm for these types of activities comes across to you, because it's the same enthusiasm that our employees at the community centers and in the greenway section and in the maintenance section have for what we do. I feel it's very admirable what we do. We add to other people's enjoyment of life, which makes it easy for them to enjoy Nashville, and adding the infrastructure has just been something that's been wonderful to be a part of.
No, I think there's widespread appreciation for that in the city. It's one of those things that, as I say, I hear a lot, and I think the bike trails. We were out on a very cold morning to do the bike trail out in the Antioch area, and there's work going forward in Warner Parks, and that's a built-up demand too. That there are people who want access to bike trails.
And I didn't even mention that the access of the Music City Bikeway that's getting ready to be accomplished across Highway 100 and into Warner Park is scheduled to be done this year.
Good. Well, we certainly are supportive. Obviously, we've got to deal with the budget in a very realistic way, but I hope that we think you do a great job. All your employees do. The board you got a great board. They show up for all the events. I know they're personally interested in parks, and they're involved, which is always a great thing to have. And your employees do just a wonderful job. So thank you, and we'll do the very best we can. Rich, you got any questions, or Greg?
Nope.
But we're very pleased with Parks. Thank you.